The Seahawks this past Sunday went on into New England and were able to go get a victory against the Patriots, a team that just recently this offseason moved on from their legendary head coach, Bill Belichick. And the Seahawks had a lot of very good play calls in this game from both the offense and defensive side of the ball of things. But maybe one of the best or the best play calls in this past game was a play that sprung you offensively on a big play. You had a man completely uncovered. And what's fun about this play call is it actually has roots and connections back, not even in a roundabout way here, to Bill Belichick. Yeah, same guy that used to coach that team. You used his wrinkle to help beat them. And what's even funner about this and even more interesting to give this play call a few more extra layers is that on top of creating a situation where you had a star wide receiver running free and open in that secondary, it's also a play call that has connections back 2 decades to a once former great Seahawks team. That this play call actually you can find in a way of how it impacted that once great Seahawks team from 2 decades ago. And had it not been around, had Bill Belichick not come up with it, we might have seen a different history back then. But let me get into it all. Let's first take a look at the play, and then let me show you the layers. Let's set the stage, shall we? We've got a 2nd and 5 here in the first quarter. This is the second possession of the game for the Seahawks. They're going to be rocking an empty look here, meaning they have 5 wide. And the Patriots are going to counter this with a cover 0 look, meaning that we are going to blitz as many as humanly possible, and then we are going to single it up across the board in man coverage on the outside. So from the Seahawks perspective, you have 5 offensive linemen, no running back, to go against, as you can see against this front of the Patriots, 6 Patriots. So post-snap, that blitzer's coming. He's going to be free from somewhere. You can only block up the 5 there. Now, the Seahawks counter this with an interesting late turn, and this is where it's going to start to get fun. Because whereas Noah Fant is aligned out wide, he's going to come in motion late. He's going to eliminate that numbers game. He's going to get it blocked up and allow for there to be just enough time for Geno Smith to be able to get this ball down the field to DK Metcalf. There's broken coverage as well on this play because you've got DK aligned in the slot. This is on a day where Christian Gonzalez in many ways is following DK. Now you put him in the slot and it starts to make things a little bit more confusing. Is Christian following on this play? Is he not? You can see both guys end up in kind of a no man's land on whether or not to cover DK or not. He gets wide open on a play where I can't remember in recent history of where we saw DK this wide open on a particular blown coverage. That doesn't happen too often. Typically, he's like the great white shark with those Ramori fish that are always right up under their sides or around their fins, always there trying to eat up the little bit of extras the shark doesn't eat on some of their carcasses. Well, that's what you usually have with DK. And on this play, he's as wide open as can be, one of the easiest touchdowns he'll ever get in his life, but set up by the pass protection here of Ryan Grubb and that late motion man. Fant doesn't start up there looking like he's going to be in pass protection. It comes late. The defense has to react to it. But what makes this even funner is some of the connection back to 20 years ago on this and where this pass protection was essentially created. Because it came about by Bill Belichick having to deal with this particular defense from his offense's perspective in a playoff game. But let me allow former NFL player Dominic Foxworth to break this down for you very quickly.
My rookie year, I started a bunch of games as a 3rd-round pick across from Champ Bailey. We were 13-3. But anyway, the Belichick story. Because we were good at corner, we did 0 blitzes the entire season. That was our strategy. We had trouble getting pressure with 4, so we would do 0 blitzes. We had this blitz bluff package where we'd line up on 3rd downs. It would look like punt rush with a straight line across the line of scrimmage, with the exception like the cornerbacks and anyone in coverage receivers were off the line. No safety. We'd either send everybody and play 0 or drop out. The 3 guys who were high would drop into cover 3 and play cover 3. It was baffling people all season long. And Mike Shanahan was manufacturing offense with Jake Plummer, and we were really good. So 13-3. The Patriots, we had a bye. We had the Patriots, a division round of playoffs, and Belichick was the only person or that team figured out how to beat us by motioning the slot receiver across. And so whoever was covering the slot receiver would run with him, and then this guy, the slot receiver, would block the end man on the line of scrimmage. So they would get a 2-for-1 in that situation where he was blocking and we were covering him. So they would have enough time to run more advanced routes. It didn't work. We beat them because they did not have a player that was capable of blocking that end man. But what it did do was set us up. We had a home game against the Steelers to get to the Super Bowl. The Steelers did the exact same thing, but they're the one team in football who had Hines Ward, who was a slot receiver who was capable of being a tackle because he was that ferocious a player. And we lost to the Steelers, which is a weird story, but we lost to the Steelers because of Belichick's. I'm assuming that they saw what Belichick was doing and was like, hey, that works. We have a guy who can actually do it. And they stole Belichick's strategy and beat us.
You guys didn't make the Super Bowl because Belichick came up with a strategy that he himself could not run, but Hines Ward could. Wow.
We come back to the play here again, a couple more times to run. Late motion a la Belichick to beat his old team. He was probably smiling when he saw this play, but it also shows you the value of motion prior to the snap. When you're stagnant, when you just align everybody up where they're going to be post-snap, you're making it easier on the defense. When you bring that late motion, the defense has already kind of decided by the snap what they want to do, and the motion's now making them have to think late, which is not what they want to have to do. The Patriots had that late blitzer who seemed to be even still as a free rusher able to get home as Cross blocked down, but then he didn't really look to pick that rusher up late, and he could have had maybe an angle there, but he delayed his pass rush a little bit, and I can't help but wonder if maybe it's because he was still having to kind of wait a beat to make sure that Noah Fant didn't go out into the flat, didn't try to go out there and run a route, that would have been his responsibility. Won't really know on that part of it, but we do know is that it did mess the defense up, this pre-snap motion, and it's a Bill Belichick special. If Bill Belichick hadn't created this wrinkle for that division title game between the Patriots and the Denver Broncos, where the Broncos were able to beat that Patriot team, then the Steelers might not have been stolen it for the next week when they went out on the road for that conference title game against the Denver Broncos. Perhaps maybe that would have been enough for the Broncos to come away with a win, that advantage was enough for them. Certainly Dominic was lamenting the ability of the Steelers to really utilize it. And if you do then see an alt history from this, you would then find the Denver Broncos going to the Super Bowl to face who? Your Seattle Seahawks in that 2005 season. And boy, would I like the Seahawks' chances of going up against a Jake Plummer-led Denver Bronco offense. And I also believe that a mastermind like Mike Holmgren with Matt Hasselbeck would have had some ways and means to deal with that cover zero blitz, even beyond what Bill Belichick did. We'll never know, and certainly maybe we wouldn't have won this last week if Belichick hadn't created it back 20 years ago, and so it is at least helping us now on this other end of it. But it does go to show you, as Rust Cole said in the great show, True Detective, time is a flat circle. Shout out to Bob Condota, Seahawks reporter, for noticing this initially. Give him a follow out there on Twitter. My name is Brandon King. Please hit the like button. Please sub on up. But beyond all that, don't you ever forget, go Hawks.